Hello again, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Akira, which is a Japanese animated film from the early... It was released over here in the early 90s in the UK, but I think it was made in the late 80s in Japan. It's one of those films that kind of, the 80s, early 90s, that Akira became the big thing. But it didn't really... I mean, I got hit UK, but didn't really become the massive cult thing until the early 90s, where it was really huge. You couldn't hear anything. This was like the beginning of like manga and anime. This was like in the UK basically as like a mainstream thing. I mean, it'd been people who were passionate about it had knowledge of it before, but it never really became mainstream really. Like people like me didn't hear about it until Akira. Akira was the one that just went and blew the lid off. It was like showing TV, it was one of the things you had to see. It was basically this was the new thing, this is the thing that would push animation forward. And it did, but animation didn't, obviously animation goes in different directions, because it went from Akira, then it moved over to America with the Disney stuff, then there was the Pixar stuff, and you've also the animation side of Japan going their way with the basically the stuff like Spirited Away and things like that. So there's Studio Ghibli. So I mean, everyone went in different directions. But it was the thing that really, like the cyberpunk anime thing became huge. Like the Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that. It became huge. And since then anime's been huge around the world. It's not the tops always, but it's always at a consistent level of like fandom. I mean, every so often you get a little peak with some of the Matrix comes out, the Animatrix, then every so often there's a film that comes out that creates interest. But Akira was the one that was like the ground zero of like cyberpunk animation, and the advantage it's got over most other ones is a film that's hard to understand, especially the first time. The first time I saw it, I was like what the hell's going on? Because it goes so fast and it's such an adrenaline rush. The visuals are so overpowering, and especially in the early 90s where you hadn't really seen anything like this. I mean, I'd read Samuel Gibson, so I knew some of it, but it was very new. There was bikes that were doing crazy stuff. It was very unique and weird. And plus there's lots of mutation. There's very kind of Cronenberg influence, but it's also influenced by like Japan with them being bombed from the atomic bomb. You've also got like psychic energy involved, creating a lot of these problems, which was part of the mainstream, but it really started to become much more prominent. Like the X-Files stuff came after this. I mean, there was a lot of films. There was films like Poltergeist before, and some ghost stories, but nothing that really went towards the phantasmagorical elements of just excess and weirdness within like body mutation within like the supernatural side of things. Before it was stuff like The Thing. So obviously it was influenced by The Thing and the weird monster The Thing did as well. So I mean, it brought stuff from the past but also pushed it towards the future and put it together in a weird way that was unique. It was also about like growing up, the idea of growing up. Because I mean, the central stories of these two kids, the young teenagers who are basically street thugs. They go to school, then they get out of school, they go and ride bikes into gang wars with other thugs. Because there's nothing to do. They live in a post-apocalyptic world where Tokyo had been destroyed from this event that was triggered by someone called Akira. But no, it's all been battened down what actually happened. Everything's been submerged within like bureaucracy. There is a bureaucracy going on. All this, a new world been brought up, all these skyscrapers and all this weird new technology. But if you're down the bottom of the social ladder, you're down the bottom. There's nothing you can do about it. You have no hope for the future. Some people just go for mindless violence, like the gangs. Some people try and fight back and work with people within government who want to change government, so they get up to like spy stuff basically. But it's always the different creations of ways to deal with the fact that your life's worth nothing basically to the government, and you're living in this dystopia that if you die tomorrow, no one's going to care, like, at all. So they have different reactions. So one of the boys who was the leader of the gang, he gets involved with this girl who's like in this terrorist cell who's trying to change the system. He's very immature, but dealing with the girl and actually seeing the consequences of his action, the consequences of the government actions, it brings him much more towards having a social conscience and growing up and actually realising that he has to do the right thing, he has to actually be decent and look at his conscience and actually do something for society around about him. His friend is a much more weaker character at the beginning. He's like the tag-along friend. He's the best friend of the leader of the gang, but he's not viewed as someone who's that powerful on his own. He ends up, because he chases after another gang basically as they try to escape from a gang fight, he runs into this little monster creature that has escaped from the labs that has been controlled by the government, who were these mutations who came from the same era as Akira. And now this boy, this gang person, is actually infected by meeting this person, and he has no idea how to control it. So as the film goes on, he starts to mutate into. He starts off, he can't control his growing powers, and as it goes on, it becomes his subconscious becomes something that's affecting him. He starts to be paranoid about people, paranoid about his own friends. He starts to become a murderer and mutate out of control and become this creature that has to be destroyed. Meanwhile, his friend, the gang leader, is trying to reach him and say, look, you have to calm down. The only way you're going to survive is if you calm down, but it's not really working for him. So it becomes this out of control teenager, the army's trying to control him, and because of his mutations, all hell's breaking loose, and there's a fear there's going to be another Akira level explosion. So it's a as you can probably say, it's a weird film. It's got like social dynamics, fascism, but it's also got character dynamics. It's got body horror, and it's an animated, so impossible things can happen at any time, and characters can do just strange, insane things. It's just a wonderful, weird film. And the second half gets out of control. The second half, pretty much, the first half is like a normal manga where you're following the story, you're seeing these teenagers overreact to things the way a teenager would and exclaim their feelings. And then halfway through, you're getting build to this character getting out of control as he's been infected. And then he just starts to mutate and all hell breaks loose and society starts to fall apart, and you're pretty much waiting for the apocalypse to happen. Everyone's trying to find out about Akira and who he was and is he coming back through this boy, and it becomes this weird threat, and all these other creatures from Akira's time who are trying to control the new mutation to try and help him control himself so he doesn't explode. It's just really weird though. I mean, it's like when you first see it, it's like just all these things coming at you, and like, I don't understand this, but it's really interesting. As you see it more often, it makes a lot more sense, but it doesn't lose its weird, mysterious feel to it. It's got this feeling to it like they've taken away enough details in the storytelling to keep you a bit confused, which is great about it, because you kind of want to be a bit confused. You don't want to know everything. You want to have your own interpretation of things, and this film seems to know that's what you have to do. It's not my favourite of the animes, really. I like Spirited Away, I think, is a better film. I like Steam Boy, the same director. I think it's a more normal film, but I think it's a more enjoyable film as a story. Tokyo Godfathers, I think it's better. You know, Paprika I find more entertaining. That's really excessive as well, but Dreams, Perfect Blue. There's lots of really good animes, but this one's the kind of granddaddy of them all. This is the one. This is the one that caused the explosion to really bring it worldwide. It really is something special. It's just not as perfect. It's very imperfect, and that's what's wonderful about it. Is it doesn't always come together and make sense entirely, but that's what's great about it. it's a kind of, it's much more like Videodrome than anything else, where lots of stuff's happening and you can make sense with, there's lots of themes, but not everything's fully explained. And that's what's great about it. But it's not as perfect as some of the other films that are made in the genre later. But it's still beautiful. It's definitely worth seeing. The animation's amazing. From the early plot scenes with the bikes through the city to the body horror and arms and legs and ripped off and arms becoming massive and mutated and things. It's something that if you did that actual live action film, you'd be looking at an R because it's so excessive. But if you haven't seen Akira, you have to see Akira. If you have, I'd say watch it again because it's wonderful. The Blu-ray's terrific, it looks beautiful, and there aren't many extras, but it looks beautiful, so it's definitely worth seeing. It's one of those films that keeps on getting re-released because everyone will buy it, or enough people will buy it to always make it profitable re-release on any format. So it's always around somewhere. So there's no excuse to say, oh, it's hard to get hold of. It's not. It's available on Amazon. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with another one. Go see Akira.